Hi there, I'm Dean Heskin. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of our podcast, The Secret War on Cash. This is our first podcast of 2024. We're very excited to be launching into a new year here. I have with me today a former guest as well, Mike Weiner. Mike, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Happy New Year, belated.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. As I mentioned, 2024 is underway. And I don't know what you're seeing and hearing, but from what I can tell, it seems like people are, let's say, holding their breath more than anything at this point. And by holding their breath, I mean hoping that nothing bad happens and, Lord willing, we somehow find our way into some good as far as finances and the economy goes. I've got to tell you, though, Mike, in watching markets, the news and the market news, I haven't seen many promising forecasts for this year as far as our business markets. In fact, they're pretty grim. The article on your screen is a recent warning from market guru Gary Shilling, who has pretty strong and specific words about stocks and cryptos for the year, which is to say he's saying get out. And you see the article on your screen, and if you're listening, you can click on the link below. But he's just one of many who share these same sentiments. And I know you've been involved, Mike, in the financial markets, working with clients for decades now. I mean, in your experience and looking at that article, do you think his predictions are accurate?
I think his predictions are extremely accurate, and even beyond that, because really we have a marketplace right now that's not controlled by individuals, it's controlled by computers. Trading on the markets, which used to be done in open outcry on the exchanges, is all being done by computers, algorithms, funds to manage things and make it look like they want it to be. Cryptocurrencies, I've changed their name to zombie currencies because, quite frankly, you have something that is legitimately has no real control. That's why Jamie Dimon is totally against cryptocurrencies, because it's unregulated. We created a whole financial empire based on nothing. And who are the main players in it? The main players are kidnappers, terrorists. They love it because it's unregulated and nobody controls it. They love the market, the stock market, because if you want to have a number happen, you have it happen. But when you have the gentleman that we're talking about looking at the market, the amount of debt that we have as a nation is unbelievable. What we're paying as interest on our debt is unbelievable, because we went from a AAA rated to a AA rated economy, and we're paying higher interest on that. We have markets that make no sense, as I said, and we have a currency market and a financial market that's based on not strong dollars, but strong currencies that are being run by other countries. And that's why countries are gravitating to gold as a safe haven.
Well, I'm glad you bring that up. They are gravitating towards gold. And another area or development, let's say, is BRICS. And what supports the prediction of Shillings that we just were discussing there is the article that you can now see discussing or talking about the further developments of BRICS. We've been talking about BRICS over the last several months on our podcast. And if you want to talk about something that's gaining momentum, like a runaway freight train, that in fact would be BRICS. There could be as many as a few dozen additional countries joining their alliance this year. And I'd be shocked if there's not even more committing to do so by year's end. The message being sent, well, what I was going to say, Mike, the message being sent is they're tired of the US dollar and the US financial dominance. And in the article, you can see where they have specifically identified 5 sectors that will be negatively affected by the strengthening of BRICS. So it's almost like handwriting on the wall at this point, in so much as we know these countries are jumping on board with BRICS, and these are the exact areas that will be hit. I mean, do you see it any differently than that, Mike?
I see it even further than that, because it's not just 5 issues. The US dollar controls everything from when you go buy a cup of coffee to when you sit back and invest in markets. Countries, it's not a matter, in my opinion, of them, not liking the US dollar. They don't trust it. The United States, back in 1947, created the World Bank after World War II because of the collapse of all the countries in Europe under Hitler. And we did the World Bank, and we became the world reserve currency in the Bretton Woods Act. And at that point of time, we were supposed to maintain a under gold standard country, which we breached that agreement. But even going beyond all that, China sees an opportunity. They see an opportunity because they created the AIIB, which is the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, to mirror the World Bank, because they didn't want to be involved with the World Bank. They wanted to create the BRICS and other things, which right now went from a meaningless situation to, under this administration, a powerhouse. And they are going to pull the rug out from under us. These 5 sectors that you look at are missing one important one. Geopolitically, as a nation, we are losing our credibility. We are losing our credibility financially, which scares the daylights out of our partners, including the European Union, and which scares the daylights out of, quite honestly, our enemy, our allies militarily, because we show total weakness. So right now, people are trying to say, well, wait a minute. I'm looking at the BRICS because the BRICS have more stability. The BRICS have more strength. They're talking about involving their currencies with gold. We look at India, who's part of the BRICS, who is also stating, I want nothing to do with the World Bank anymore. We'll either do our currency, we'll do gold, we'll do BRICS. So right now, the worst is yet to happen. And the problem with every crash that ever has happened, including in 2008, everything is wonderful 2 months earlier. And then when the crash happens and people can figure out what happened, by the time they do, the stock markets crash, they're 40% down, and they're buying gold, paying 30%, 40% more than they could have, when they should be protecting themselves now. So sitting on the couch and hoping that things weren't happen is exactly what happened to people who had to go back to work in 2008 and 2009.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And, it's, again, the beginning of a new year here, hoping for the best, expecting that there's going to be probably a few bumps in the road. And if Shilling, and that's the thing, you take a look at what Shilling is saying, you look at the development of BRICS, it just seems almost impossible that these predictions that they're making about the market correcting, about gold prices exploding, that it's not going to happen, because the wheels are already well in motion, like I mentioned a moment ago, like a runaway freight train. So we'll continue to watch this, obviously, and love to have you back at a later time on the podcast to discuss this even more, Mike. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for those of you who've been tuning in. And as always, if you'd like some information about BRICS, or any other information about gold or what's going on in the markets, please feel free and contact our offices at 1-800-289-2646 by phone, or you can visit us online at www.swissamerica.com, and we'd be happy to get it to you free, no charge, no cost. A good thing to do is just educate yourself, and forewarned is forearmed, as they say. So feel free to comment if you have anything to say about this podcast. And if you're not already, please do subscribe or check us out on social medias. We'd love to stay in contact with you. Thanks again, Mike. And again, thanks for tuning in. And if there's anything else, Mike, that comes up, we'll be sure to get you back here soon.
Happy New Year to all. Thank you.
Thank you.